Hello everyone, I'm Ask Josh and I'm back with another map guide for Marvel Rivals. This time it is Yggsgard, but it is the Domination version. There is another version of Yggsgard that is Convoy or Payload. You can go check out that video as well, but for this map I'm going to start not in the spawn areas but actually at the point itself, so I can illustrate all the different choke points that you're going to want to pay attention to, as well as where the health packs are. So this Domination, obviously you want to stand on the point until it flips to your team's favor, and then everyone can actually get off the point if they want to. It doesn't capture any faster or slower once it's under your control. It just continues to tick up. So once you've got control, you can push forward into enemy territory, and to do that, there are basically 4 entrances or exits from the enemy spawn that you're going to want to pay attention to once you have control of the point. Obviously, pay attention to this health pack. It is the easiest, most accessible one while fighting. The next easiest or most accessible is actually right up these stairs. And that's it. That's basically it. If you go up these stairs, you'll end up in a back hallway with no health packs and just some high ground entryways. But there's no health besides that one and right up those stairs. This map is symmetrical, so there is one final health pack all the way out in Oz, basically, like nowhere near the actual fighting. So essentially you should never ever really need to use that health pack. I think it's an interesting choice that they put it so far away from the objective, but now that you know where all the healing is, now you need to know where the enemies are coming out from. Obviously this huge opening is where a ton of returning spawners are going to try to poke out from, because you can go high, you can go low on the actual steps. Up here you have a 2-tiered exit, so the one with the health pack that I showed earlier actually does adjoin with that long empty hallway. It also joins with the area I pointed out earlier with the health pack and the tree that no one should ever really need to be in. The majority of your fighting is going to take place right here in this choke, this room, and this choke, this room. But back to the point, there is actually another entrance/exit that you'll need to pay attention to, which is up the stairs. That's the actual throne. Great view of Asgard from there. But this high exit actually is still relatively slow for returning defenders to try to get to. So I think once you're actually in spawn and you respawn, your fastest way back for most characters is going to be cutting a straight as line as you possibly can through here and either down through the lower exit, or you're going to head back to the spawn real quick, or you're going to head through this front door and hang a right, head down the long hallway, and either choose, the right side exit, or many characters can fly or grapple and get up here. This room is actually literally just for that, to be able to jump in there and then have that high ground advantage so you can scope out where the enemies are. And there are a lot of good long-range characters like Iron Man or Hell that could take advantage of this. Hela, excuse me. So yeah, this is basically pretty straightforward for the throne room. There are 2 other points on Yggsgard Domination that we'll show you now. And here we have the Bifrost Gardens of Yggsgard. You can see a cool Loki statue featuring prominently, as well as the long stretch out to the Bifrost, Heimdall's charge, but the domination point itself here is just obviously this little square. Most of these tall walls and statues are destructible, so new sightlines will be created throughout this one. Health packs on this map are a little interesting. I'm just going to show those off quickly here. From the point itself, you can drop back a little bit to your side on the back rear left here for that health pack. There's obviously another one on the other side. This map is symmetrical, the domination maps. So that's the only health pack on this side of the map. You can retreat a little bit back to the center here as well to grab a health pack. And then the last few are actually all along this side. So there's one closer to spawn, closer to the point, right next to the point, and then so on the other side, right over this wall, and then closer to their spawn. So if you are an attacker, you've already got the point, you've pushed up too far, and now they're starting to push back a little bit. You know that there's this breadcrumb trail of health packs that you can use to try to get back to your side safely. So if you're ever pushed up way too far, definitely want to favor the outside rather than the inside, because there's only a couple of health packs on that side. So once you have control of this point, your enemies are mostly going to be coming up and over. Obviously, there's 2 wide openings players are going to be peeking out from and shooting from a lot, but the interesting thing is they're low ground. They're at the bottom of these steps, so they're actually going to be a little bit prone to attack. There's not a ton of high ground that they can actually work with to try to nail down on the point, except for on the point itself, and by then, you're too close to the actual action. So sometimes you'll see a Storm or Iron Man flying a lot around these areas. I think flying characters obviously have a big advantage in that way for this point, but essentially this one's a straight line. I mean, you're essentially going straight from your spawn. I'll go ahead and go into the spawn so you can see that. Once you're respawning, nice little bedroom here, by the way, you exit and you can see the objective's just dead ahead of you. So you're running straight. You basically are only choosing, do I fork left or fork right? There's a health pack here if you need it. You can take pot shots again once these walls are destroyed toward the center point. And then, yeah, this one's just very chaotic. If you're familiar with Ilios from Overwatch, the ruins sort of level, this reminds me of that quite a lot. This one's very chaotic. Lots of AoE explosions. Sometimes you'll see Scarlet Witch or Storm literally just hop over the wall and drop their ultimate onto the point. Iron Man can also shoot a very long range ultimate for multi-kills. So this one's tough. This one's pretty all-out chaos. You want to do high damage, high DPS characters. Tanks are probably not going to matter too much. There's a lot of walls and things sort of mid-height that you can take advantage of with like Scarlet Witch's fade. You can actually fade up here to escape a fight. There's a little jump off, I think, on this side. Once the wall is destroyed and you've got any character with some kind of mobility that can just quickly jump or dash back up, this little shortcut is a great one just to hop through the wall, because this wall does get destroyed. That's basically all the strategy I've got for Bifrost Gardens. It's a very wide open map, as you see, very few health packs. Mostly you're going to want to use aerial dominance and big AoE attacks to fight here. Now we'll move on to the third point. All right, here's the third and final section of Yggsgard Domination map. It is called Odin's Archive, and it is quite insane, actually. It's probably one of the harder domination points that exist in this game so far. Obviously, you've got 2 tiers, and all of this walkway is destructible. The statue in the middle is destructible. So there's a lot of spawning and despawning of terrain during this fight. A lot of players will try to use this column as line of sight once they have the point controlled to try to take out attackers from above, or from the left side, or from dead ahead. This wall actually all comes down as well, so shooting directly forward is probably fine as well. When you're up here, though, obviously lots of long-range characters can make use of this until the floor literally gets destroyed out from underneath them. So if you're playing a longer-range character, you do still need to pay attention to the floor being destroyed and try to keep vantage points from areas like right here where you're not going to get knocked down as easily. There are also jump pads for characters that are less mobile to get from the floor to the second level. So yeah, again, once you've got control here, your enemies are going to be coming primarily from here. This is like a huge opening for people to return from spawn. A lot of fighting does occur up in here, this room, once the point is controlled by one team or another. There's a health pack right here. I did not actually point out the health packs yet, but there's actually not really very accessible ones except for on the floor itself next to those jump pads. And again, these walls are destructible, so those health pads are actually still kind of risky to take once those are down. Back up on the high ground here, you've got this vantage point. Again, I mentioned the floor can be destroyed. These glass windows can also be destroyed, specifically this one and the one opposite it. These windows can just be shot out. They will respawn throughout the round, but yeah, if you go in here, this is another alternate way to push in. There's this jump pad. I'll go into the spawn room now so you can see what it's like from that perspective, but basically you've got a couple of options as attackers here. Once the door is open, you know your objective is going to be essentially straight up ahead through this stairway. So by far the most common entry point is going to be going up these stairs and then choosing from here which way you'd like to go. And obviously if you can shoot out this window, you can already see enemies. So I definitely favor this way. And if you go left just a little bit, you have another opening that you can, get information quickly and decide which way you want to attack from. If you choose to go to the right, you're going to be a bit more exposed with this grand stairway. You could also use flight or grappling or whatever to get up onto the side area, but then you're a bit more limited in what you can actually see or attack. If you want to try to do flanking maneuvers, maybe you could do that and get a surprise ultimate off with like Iron Man from behind. Something like that could be useful, but generally this area is not used too much in this point, and I believe you'll also fall and die, so don't do that. The left side, however, also pretty nondescript. There are some ledges as well on this side. It is symmetrical, of course, so the red side had that one we just showed you, blue side has this one, and it's really chaotic. For strategy here, I think you want to keep your healers constantly dancing around walls, even the bases of walls that are already destroyed. You can still use them as line of sight a little bit. The most success I've really seen is once a team captures the point, they back off a little bit. They don't go forward because it is very awkward. You could get, jumped from above or the left side or directly. So typically players will get control of this and then head back behind here to this health pack. They'll use things like turrets, Namor, Punisher, Rocket is a good support here. There's just a lot of walls. It's very confined compared to the Bifrost Gardens, which we just saw and talked about being more wide open. So this point reminds me of Lijiang Tower Control Center a little bit from Overwatch, but that's kind of where the similarities end. Flying characters can be very effective here, but with the floors constantly spawning and respawning, you got to be aware of good vantage points that you can constantly make use of, and you don't want to use the most common entries every time. That's basically it for Yggsgard, the Domination map. Thank you very much for watching this map guide, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you learned something, I hope that you'll like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff, and encourage me to make more rival videos in the future. Catch you later.